Too happy. Apparently the word is transmission failure. The car just came to a halt, and there is Greg Murphy, yesterday's race winner. John Smales, do you have any information?
About what you have, Lee, I'm with Jeff Gretsch. Jeff, what is the problem with the car?
He thinks there's something wrong with the transmission. We don't know what's happened at the moment, but obviously he can't go on, so he's pulled over.
Now, you were concerned that he was pushing the pace a little bit too hard, that he was pushing the car too hard.
Oh, no, I don't think so. I mean, he had clean air. I'm sure it wasn't because of that why we've had the failure. It's just one of those things, I guess.
Two different things, though. You asked him before he broke down to back off the pace a bit.
Oh, yes, which is a normal thing to do. We just pace ourselves to the person behind us. So he was under control. We had a race plan. Unfortunately, the race plan, the transmission, whatever's happened there wasn't part of that. So I guess it's we can't. When we get back to the shop, we're going to have a good look at it.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks.
Well, there you have it from the HRT team manager about the Greg Murphy incident. Hard luck, but it's good luck for Russell Ingall. That puts him up into the lead, and this now becomes the battle for second and third. Here's an earlier incident. Wayne Gardner getting his teammate Neil Crompton under brakes, going into the dime S's on the backside of the circuit. A nice clean move by Gardner.
Yeah, both Go Commodores running on Yokohama tyres this year, but Gardner getting plenty of speed out of his car. He's been nailing the back of Crompton's car for a number of laps and pushed through. But that's interesting. The Holden Racing team both having transmission problems. A clutch problem with Brock's car and a transmission problem with Greg Murphy's car. Alan Jones, he tries to... We've been watching this for the last few laps. Jones has been all over the back of Perkins, and Perkins has been really putting on the pressure and maintaining a tremendous pressure from Alan Jones as they come onto the pit straight once again.
Mark, it'd be an interesting scenario to find out whether there was a clutch problem even with Greg Murphy's car, which then in turn screwed up the transmission. Maybe we'll find that out a little later on.
There's the laser speed down the straight for you, 217 kilometres per hour, so it's remained reasonably consistent. We're watching the battle, second, third. The Castrol Commodore of Larry Perkins. There's Kevin Heffernan at the bottom of the screen in the Price Attack Commodore. Received a stop-go penalty earlier in the race. There's no stop going here. It's flat out with between Perkins and Jones. Charlie, you reckon he's going to get him?
Oh, Lee, I think this is going to be one of those classic passing moves if it comes off. You have Larry Perkins, which is a very tough customer to pass, and Alan Jones, well, he's just as tough. He wants to get past. So I think when we do see the passing move, there may be a little clash of door handles.
Look at this, yeah. Larry Perkins moving over to cover his territory, both sides. Both moves backwards and forwards. Very similar scenario to the Shell cars yesterday as they hammer down the back straight toward the Dime S's. This time Larry Perkins, both extremely experienced racers. And Larry now lights ablaze as he comes up to lap some of the slower traffic. Their rear view mirror will be full of lights. There's no way they can miss the approaching high-speed train, Larry Perkins and Alan Jones.
This will be interesting. Lap 13 of 19. We are winding this one down, and Alan Jones is all over the back of Larry Perkins.
Any lap cars that come up in front of Larry Perkins will be playing right into Alan Jones's hands because it will slow Larry down coming onto the straight. Alan will be able to read into that. He will get a better run, more kilometres, and go past Larry at the end of the straight.
With the departure of Greg Murphy, it is now Ingall, Perkins, Jones, and Gardner, Crompton, Longhurst, Markham, Faulkner, Ellery and Brock. That is your top 10 at the moment, so Brock has gone one position better into the top 10 now.
Flashing past, start-finish line to start another lap. Alan Jones applying as much pressure as he can in the Komatsu Falcon. Larry Perkins in the Castrol Commodore equal to the task. A classic battle between Ford and Holden in the V8 Supercars on the Gold Coast.
Mark, an interesting situation here when we're watching this. As we say, we can see Alan catching up under brakes, but out of 600 horsepower, you wonder sometimes, well, how can 10 horsepower make a difference? This is a situation here. You see Larry pull out coming onto the straight, and it just gives him that little bit of buffer at the end under brakes.
And I remember they quite often talk about that concertina effect on the streets of Monaco, where when the car in front is on the power, you can't be on the power at the same time, so it's very, very difficult to pass.
Russell Ingall, your race leader, has an 8-second advantage over this particular battle here. His teammate and boss, Larry Perkins sitting in second. Alan Jones pulls out of the draft, has a look up the inside, but he is not close enough this time round. There's not much in it as they come through the Dime S's on the back part of the circuit. You'll see Gardner come into shot. There he is at the top of your screen with still some work to do, but he is catching up. 172 kilometres per hour, the speed for Larry Perkins out of the Dime S's as they come through the Foster chicane, riding the ripple strips one side to the other.
Alan Jones working this car very hard. This is the pack leader 40 ran last year, prepared by Jim and Ross Stone up in the Queensland workshops. Beautifully prepared car, running on Bridgestone tyres. Lost his sponsorship with Philip Morris last year. Alan Jones now working very hard to get the money together to complete the season. It's a classic situation for Jones when the chips are down. Backs to the wall, he really digs deep and pulls out an absolute blinder. And he's putting on a great performance here today. But he's got one problem. That's Larry Perkins in the Castrol Commodore who's stopping him getting on the podium.
The times and the laps tick on. Lap 14 is about to become lap 15. Will Alan Jones be able to make the move on Larry Perkins? There's the speed. Perkins, 221, so that's faster. About 5 kilometres an hour faster than the previous lap. They come down hard into the Sunbelt chicane.
Meanwhile, Russell Ingall, Larry Perkins' teammate, 8.5 seconds the lead now. He's right out in clean air on his own with the demise of Murphy. Larry Perkins and Alan Jones second and third. Wayne Gardner now 2.9 seconds behind Jones as they came across the line that time through.
Gardner going well. He has now pulled out 3 seconds on his teammate Neil Crompton. We continue to watch the battle for second and third. Russell Ingall is out in front. This is second and third. Perkins and Jones.
You could not get two more evenly matched cars, even under brakes, even under power. Just looking for one of them. Make a mistake, the slightest little error, and particularly in Larry Perkins' case, Jones will be through. There's our race leader, Russell Ingall, and Larry Perkins under increasing fire from Alan Jones. A big run down the outside. He's almost halfway into the side of the Commodore, but he can't do it out there. Look how close he goes to the back of Perkins' car as they break from the Dime. This is fantastic racing.
Letting Larry know his intentions as we see Wayne Gardner is catching. He is going well. 145, 181 kilometres per hour out of the S's.
Watch this gap too, back to Wayne Gardner. It was just under 3 seconds as they came across the line last time around. Visually, it seems like he's closing, but we'll check that as they come across the line next time around. Meanwhile, Alan Jones maintaining maximum pressure on the back of the Castrol Commodore. Larry Perkins. Larry has been equal to the task, hasn't put a wheel wrong so far, and he won't want to drop the ball this late in the race.
Mark, Alan Jones certainly has the faster car there. If he could get past, I think he would be able to drive away from Larry Perkins. But see, the two of them now are holding each other up, and Wayne Gardner is catching very quickly. I don't think Wayne's going to be able to do anything once he gets there, but it'll make a three-way battle instead of a two-way battle.
Charlie, when you're sitting in a position like Larry Perkins is, what's it like to be pestered like that, to be hassled from behind all the time? Whoa! Oh, Stephen Ellery getting all out of shape. Peter Brock diving up the inside of him. So Brock should now be up into ninth position.
Yeah, there's Perkins now, race leader, 9 seconds. The gap is just over another half a second over the Perkins-Jones battle. Those two slowing each other up.
Lee, to answer that question there about that, when you are, again, say you're sitting behind somebody here, I prefer to be behind somebody knowing that you have to do the job with a few laps to go, rather than be in front and looking in your mirrors every second. But in this situation, they're definitely holding each other up, and it's allowing Russell Ingall to extend his lead.
Now, while Russell's extending his lead, also you've got an attack from the rear. Wayne Gardner has closed the gap substantially. Last time around, it was just under 3 seconds. He's brought that down to just under 2 seconds. You can see it's a visual gap now. So Gardner climbing really close to the back of this battle. Ingall it is from Perkins, his teammate. Jones in third. Gardner starting to close the gap. There's 6th to 10th as well. Longhurst, Larkham, Faulkner, Brock, and Stephen Ellery.
Great pictures from the Whitman's lightship on the back part of the circuit right alongside the beach as they head through the Foster chicane. Larry's pulled out a couple of car lengths over AJ at the moment, lap 16 of 19. We haven't got much longer to go. The Hog's Breath V8 Supercar race, the second for this weekend. Perkins, will he be able to hang on to that second?
Alan Jones sustaining the pressure. He has got the eyes on Alan Jones, driving very, very hard, pushing the Castrol Commodore to the limit. Larry Perkins, very experienced, They're doing a great job. Look at Jones close right up as they come through the Honda hairpin back toward pit straight once again.
That has got to be Jones' best corner, the Honda hairpin. He does that every lap, closes right up on Perkins. Then we come onto the main straight, the drag down the main straight, where Perkins seems to pull out just a little bit. 211 kilometres per hour, so not his fastest speed down the main drag.
3 laps remaining as they come across the start-finish line that time around. Let's see if Gardner's closed the gap. And it's down to 1.8, so the gap maintaining. Gardner not being able to close on the back of Alan Jones Falcon at this stage.
He's done a tremendous job to claw his way back. Smoke out of Perkins' rear right side. This could be something that Larry Perkins doesn't want.
I would say Larry has actually touched the wall coming through the back part of the circuit, and I think that is going to certainly create a problem for him and allow Alan to sneak by.
Alan Jones would have seen that, and he says, "You beauty," and he's now going to be, he's been given a little extra incentive. Lap 17 of 19.
Almost like closing in on his prey now. He's a little bit wounded up the front. And look how close he gets under brakes as they swing through the Diomesses. This great shot from the Whitman's chocolate lightship. Panoramic view of the Gold Coast streets. This battle continues, 181 kilometres an hour. Our laser speed gunners, they've roared out the back straight toward the Foster chicane.
Gardner's working overtime, trying to bridge that 1.8 second gap. Here goes Jones having a look up the inside. He is letting Larry know that he's getting very impatient. The Komatsu Falcon, the beautiful blue colour. Alan Jones sitting in third, but he wants that second.
And Larry Perkins letting Alan Jones know this is the widest Castrol Commodore in the business, and he's going to have to work for his supper. Look how he covers his territory so effectively, very carefully, drifting the car around, but just not leaving enough real estate for Jones to make a move. And meanwhile, Gardner now has climbed right onto the back of this battle. Great
Here's
battle.
Jones, his strongest part of the circuit, right up with Larry now, and Gardner is just getting more and more motivation all the time, is riding up with these two. This is the battle, second, third, and now Gardner joins it for fourth.
2 laps remaining. 4.5 kilometre Gold Coast circuit. Still plenty of time for Alan Jones to make his move. We go on board with Wayne Gardner, your chauffeur around the Gold Coast. Look at the amount of air. Alan Jones gets under the Komatsu Ford as he flings that big monster through the chicane up toward MCI. Larry Perkins still in control of this battle. Russell Ingall, meanwhile, your race leader, 7.7 seconds ahead of his teammate, who's really coming under fire. Through slower traffic, Wayne Russell just gives them plenty of racing room as they brake hard. Oh, look at the lock brake from Alan Jones, and he's lost it. Well, he went in very deep. And as you said, Charlie O'Brien, it was going to be a real desperate move toward the end of the race, and Jonesy just lost it under brakes.
Well, Alan's been having a very tough race. He's been down behind the rear spoiler of Larry's car. Mentally, it was really bugging him, and it was a do-or-die type of situation to get past because Larry was blocking very cleverly.
Wayne Gardner now up into third position. We watch Longhurst and Crompton fight it out. Jones sitting up in there. Here is the replay from Wayne Gardner's Coke Commodore. Look to the left of your screen. Jones locks it up and turns it round. Gardner does a good job to avoid coming in contact with AJ there, but that now loses him several positions. A different angle, trying to come up on the inside of Larry Perkins.
Yeah, he did well to avoid Larry too. That would have been not a lot of room between the rear wing of Perkins' car and Jones' front fender, but he kept it off the walls and off Perkins. Well done.
He may have actually been able to pull that one off, but I think he had a little bit too much rear brake bias in the car, and just at the last second when you need the maximum grip, rear tyres locked, so it's created that spin for Alan.
Yeah, well, the car was really standing on its nose. Alan was asking everything of the car, and just those rears locked up. Jones back in the race.
Well, scenes here of the Australian Grand Prix at Albert Park in Melbourne, talking about Castrol Commodore 1-2.
Last lap for Russell Ingall as he crosses the start-finish line, lights ablaze. Tremendous drive from Russell. Don't forget Greg Murphy had the race shot to bits till the transmission problem put the Holden Racing Team Commodore out of the race. Well, he was well up on this man, but Russell Ingall has survived with a nice clean run and strung together a lot of consistent fast laps, so heading toward a well-deserved victory.
We have had good variety in the V8 Supercars this year here on Network 10. Of course, 3 different winners at the first round of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. Murphy had the first one, Gardner got the second, Seaton the third. Now you've seen the HRT young gun in Greg Murphy win yesterday. Now Ingall today.
Well, he's certainly showing great form on street circuits. He absolutely obliterated the field at Albert Park. the Australian Grand Prix and now back on the streets of Surfers Paradise. He's done it again. A lot of speed throughout practice. And this race, with the failure of Murphy, Ingle left to take the victory.
Apart from a couple of Coca-Cola cars in between the sandwich here, this would have been a unique situation for Castrol to have a 1-2-3.
So makes his way through the Foster chicane for the final time. Russell Ingle's backed off back in the 59-second bracket. That last time around, he knows he's got it won in terms of room. Only a cruel mechanical failure now would take him away from the checkered flag. 8 seconds the lead as they came across the start-finish line that last time through. And the order behind him, Perkins, Gardner up to third, Crompton, Longhurst, Alan Jones back to sixth after that spin. Larkham, Faulkner, Brock, and still Stephen Ellery. Big sideways slide from Russell Ingle as he gets 600 horsepower to the tar.
Thoroughly enjoying himself. He's starting to light it up for the crowd. Look at him having a bit of fun. Is Russell Ingle as he brings it onto the main straight. Race 2 for the V8 Supercars goes to the Castrol Commodore entry of Russell Ingle. Well done. A fantastic win.
Crowd giving him big applause there too. They love their Holdens up on the Gold Coast. Look at the gap. Back to our second place man, Larry Perkins. Wayne Gardner in third position. Neil Crompton in fourth. Tony Longhurst will bring it through in fifth. Russell Ingle waves to the crowd. Big cheers from the big crowd on the Gold Coast here today. They love that. There's our former world champ, Wayne Gardner, with the drink straw. And he'll be sucking that bottle dry, I'd say. Very hot, thirsty work inside the cockpit of one of these cars.
Well, the crowd yesterday were very happy for Greg Murphy. Equal the amount of cheers today for Castrol's Russell Ingle. Well done. It was a sensible drive. He was just sitting in there behind Greg Murphy. We go on board now with Peter Brock.
Yeah, Brocky managed to bring it up to 9th position toward the end of that race, starting off from the grid. So that was a good effort, fighting his way through the tail enders. But Brocky with transmission problems early on.
Let's have a look at the final placings for you, of course. Russell Ingle in for the win from his teammate Larry Perkins, a Castrol Commodore 1-2. Wayne Gardner in for third, Neil Crompton in fourth, Tony Longhurst in for fifth.
Sixth position, Alan Jones, Mark Larkham in seventh, John Faulkner, first the Privateers in eighth, Peter Brock fought his way back to ninth, and Stephen Ellery in the Team Konica Falcon rounded out the 10.